There's a strange pattern in history. Every empire believes its wealth is real, right until the moment it disappears. Rome believed its silver coins carried eternal value. Spain believed its ships filled with gold would last forever. Britain believed its pound was indestructible. And now America believes its prosperity is permanent. But every illusion follows the same path. It begins with strength, turns into arrogance, and ends in disbelief. The United States once built real wealth, forged in factories, mined from the earth, grown in fields, and created by human hands. But somewhere along the way, the definition of wealth changed. Production turned into speculation, earnings turned into credit, and reality turned into numbers on a screen. Today, the economy isn't built on what America produces, it's built on what it promises. Promises backed by debt, by confidence, and by faith. Faith that the system will never break. Faith that the dollar will always hold its value. Faith that the illusion is real. But illusions have a cost. And this one might be the most expensive in human history. It began quietly, almost invisibly. In the late 20th century, as factories closed and production moved overseas, America discovered something extraordinary. You don't need to make things to feel rich. You just need to borrow against the future. Banks learned how to transform debt into profit. Mortgages became securities. Loans became assets. Every dollar you owed became someone else's wealth. And the more Americans borrowed, the richer the system looked. It was a magician's trick, creating wealth from obligation, turning promises into prosperity, and calling it growth. By the 2000s, the illusion was complete. Finance wasn't a part of the economy. It was the economy. Wall Street didn't just fund businesses anymore, it replaced them. The profits no longer came from innovation or production. They came from speculation, leverage, and risk. The new America was built not on steel or oil or manufacturing, but on confidence. Confidence that the numbers going up meant progress, that the market always recovers. That debt is just another word for opportunity. But the truth was far darker. Behind the glowing stock tickers and booming GDP, something was quietly rotting. The middle class began to shrink. Wages stagnated while costs exploded. Homes, education, and healthcare turned into luxury products. And the price of the American dream rose faster than the people chasing it. Yet the illusion held firm, because when your house price doubles, you feel rich. When your 401k grows, you believe you're winning. Even if your money buys less every year, even if your real purchasing power collapses, even if the wealth you see isn't yours, it's borrowed. For decades, America lived in that illusion, a rising tide of debt disguised as prosperity, a system where printing money replaced earning it, and where consumption replaced creation. When the financial crisis hit in 2008, the illusion cracked, but it didn't shatter. Instead of resetting, the system doubled down. Interest rates fell to zero. Money was printed in record amounts, and debt became the new lifeline of the global economy. They called it quantitative easing. But in truth, it was a quantitative illusion. Every dollar created was a bet that tomorrow would pay for today. That growth would return, that printing would solve what production could not, and that somehow a mountain of debt could stand forever without collapsing. But history doesn't work that way. You can manipulate interest rates. You can print money. You can rewrite the numbers, but you can't rewrite reality. Because real wealth isn't digital, it's physical, it's productive. It's something that exists when the power goes out and the markets crash. And that kind of wealth, America has been losing for decades. Today, 3 companies control a staggering portion of the world's wealth. BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, invisible empires of finance that own pieces of nearly every major corporation on Earth. They don't compete, they control competition. Their influence seeps into policy, politics, and public life. You don't see their power as you live inside it. This isn't capitalism anymore, it's feudalism with spreadsheets. The lords own the assets. The people rent everything, homes, cars, even their identities. Debt became the new chain, and America, the land once defined by freedom, now lives in financial servitude. The illusion is so strong that even crises make it stronger. When the system falters, the government prints more. When the dollar weakens, investors rush back to buy it. When inflation rises, wages don't. because the illusion must never be questioned. But deep down, every American feels it, that uneasy truth that the prosperity we see isn't solid, that our wealth is a story we keep retelling, hoping it stays true, that we're living inside an empire of confidence, and confidence alone. Every empire before us reached this same stage. Rome devalued its currency to pay for its wars. Spain flooded the world with silver, until silver itself became worthless. Britain used credit to stretch its empire beyond what gold could sustain. And now, America has built the largest debt-based illusion the world has ever seen. But the pattern never lies. The more you inflate the illusion, the harder the fall becomes, because eventually people stop believing. They stop trusting that paper equals power, that currency equals control, that promises equal wealth. And when belief collapses, so does the empire. The world is already shifting. Nations are trading outside the dollar, investors are fleeing to real assets, and the next generation, drowning in debt, no longer believes in the system they inherited. America still looks powerful, the markets still rise, the buildings still shine, but behind the illusion the foundation trembles. Because wealth isn't money, it's what money represents: resources, energy, labor, creativity, innovation. And when a society produces less of those things and more debt instead, it's not growing, it's decaying. The illusion of wealth isn't just an economic story. It's psychological, it's cultural, it's spiritual. It's a belief system that turned credit into faith, and faith into dependency. We don't ask if something has value anymore. We ask if it goes up. We don't measure success by creation, but by valuation. We don't build, we bet. And that's how an empire sells its future. Not in a single moment, but transaction by transaction, loan by loan, illusion by illusion. Yet here's the paradox. Illusions can collapse overnight, but they can also be reborn. Because behind every financial empire is something real: human ambition, creativity, and the will to rebuild. When the illusion finally fades, that's what remains. Not the numbers on the screen, not the charts or the interest rates, but the people who can still create value from nothing, just as they did at the beginning. So maybe this isn't the end of the story. Maybe it's the beginning of the next one. A story not about printed money or digital debt, but about rediscovering what real wealth actually is. Because when the lights go out on the illusion, what remains is what's true: the land, the labor, the mind, the craft, the knowledge, the trust. That's real wealth. And that's what no empire can fake forever. So the question isn't if the illusion will end, it's when. And when it does, who will still know how to build? Who will still create something of value? Who will still hold wealth that no one can print? The illusion of wealth is fading, and what replaces it will decide not just America's future, but the future of money itself. Because when faith collapses, power shifts. And when power shifts, history begins again. If this made you question the story you've been told about prosperity, then remember this: the next empire won't be built on dollars. It will be built on truth. And truth, unlike wealth, can't be created out of nothing.